Welcome, my funky bronies, to another epic episode of Mac Music Review. In this episode, we're going to be lampooning Bald Man's favorite album. Let's go. Let's smash the money store into the ground. Well, today, for real though, today what we're doing is we're actually giving an honest, unbiased, totally objective review of the first Anthony Fantano 10, the very first album Anthony Fantano gave a 10 on his channel, which is The Money Store by Death Grips. And this is the weird album cover. The Money Store is the most legendary Death Grips album, no questions asked. It was their first one that was available on like all the major streaming platforms. They had released Ex-Military, I think a year before, or either a year or 2 years before, but it didn't go on like Spotify and Amazon Music, and it wasn't all the mainstream stuff. You can listen to it on YouTube. I'm sure it's on SoundCloud. But this album was released on all the major streaming services, and it kind of, sort of put Death Grips on the map. It contains their most popular song, that is I've Seen Footage, a most popular song for a reason. That song is a jam. But this is a very angry, aggressive album that also is sort of funny and very upbeat and fun to listen to, yet is also very angry, and it's what you call I can't remember the word for it. It's that thing where it's an analogy. It's not an analogy. It's that word that means the thing. I can't think of it right now. It's a paradox. That's what it is. Paradox. A paradox is something like two things existing at the same time. Two things existing at the same time that cannot physically exist at the same time. It's very positive and very negative, very upbeat, very angry, very, it's all this different stuff going on. And it's the money store, man. It's got songs like Get Got. It's got songs like The Fever. It's got songs like Hustle Bones. It's got songs like I've Seen Footage. It's got stuff like System Blower. It has stuff like Punk Wait and Boy Please and even Hacker. Oh man, all those songs are on this album. And is it a 10? That's the question we're asking today, and I'm going to try to explain why I believe that it is not a 10. This album has fantastic production. Honestly, the production is fantastic. The only two songs that don't live up to the really high standard of just extremely addictive, fun, original, interesting, extremely entertaining, and headbanging, or otherwise epic music are the songs Blackjack and F That. Besides that, the album sounds pretty great. The production is very hectic, it's chaotic, but it's also calculated, it's highly electronic and industrialized, it's extremely modern, but it's like extreme electronic, extremely hectic, amazing, Rainbow Road, Mario Kart, Sugar Rush electronic music that's also extremely aggressive somehow, or paired with these aggressive vocals. But that leads to what I believe is the biggest flaw in this album. And once again, there's two songs that I don't think sound the best, which is Blackjack and F That. I think production-wise those are not the best, but that's not the only thing I have wrong with this album. The main thing I have wrong with this album is the vocals. MC Ride, I think, is the name of the guy who sings on this album, who, I say sings, more like just screams and bellows and acts like an idiot. He just sounds like it sounds goofy. The way he's singing it's kind of hard to take him seriously, honestly. And I think he is supposed to be taken seriously with these lyrics. And that's a huge problem, is his singing, he has virtually no range. It's all the same. The singing is like the same on every single song, and it's him going, bah, 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 bah. Not trying to be offensive or anything, but that's literally what it sounds like. If you've heard one song from this album, you've heard them all in terms of the singing. It sounds really ridiculous, really over the top, really goofy, I would say. And I just don't think that's exactly what they were going for. I think tonally it's just a little bit weird, even though, these songs are fun, and they do add to the fun factor of these songs. Like these, that a goofy rapping style makes for a goofy, fun to listen to album, but does that does that fully work all the time? I would say no. Besides kind of discrediting the actual lyrical content of the album by just sounding really goofy and over the top and weird, and just kind of monotone, even though it's the opposite of monotone. It's the same delivery on every single track, which can make the project feel a little bit tedious after multiple listens. And I have given this multiple listens. I've listened to it a lot lately. It also completely distracts from the lyrics. Besides like kind of not fitting with the lyrical content, it's hard to tell what he's saying most of the time on this album. And when you can tell what he's saying, sometimes the lyrics aren't that great. Like on Boy Please, the lyrics are just sexual and kind of dirty and, and kind of goofy. With his delivery, it just kind of comes across as goofy. And fun, I guess. But I think a lot of this lyrical content is supposed to be serious. You're supposed to be taking him seriously, and it's hard to... Just the vocals on this album distract, I think, from the album. And I think if the vocals were better, maybe this could be a 10. Maybe if the two songs that, I think don't sound as good, if the production was better on those songs and the vocals on this album were better, I think it maybe could be a 10. Even so, at the current state this album is at this moment, I will give it an 8. An 8. There you go. I know a lot of people love this album a lot, but, I don't love it as much. Just because Death Grips, man, I've listened to Death Grips. I've listened to No Love Deep Web, the whole thing. I've listened to bits and pieces of Bottomless Pit. I really like Bottomless Pit. I really liked Year of the Snitch. But, they're just not for me. Production-wise, I think they're extremely talented. This group has some amazing production, specifically on this album. Probably their most well-produced album. Best production. This is probably the best Death Grips album. I'll say that. This I would say, is their masterpiece. Probably. I haven't really listened to all of their albums. I have listened to what are considered to be their best. I haven't actually listened to Ex-Military, and I've heard some people say that's their best. So, I should give that one a shot. But, I'm just, the monotone, just the same singing on every single song, and the way he sings is just kind of grating, and it kind of distracts from the album, in my opinion. But that's just me. I'm pretty sure I'm like one of the only people who has that opinion. If you love this album more than me, that's completely fine. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.